First contact fallout. The Federation vessel. Unyielding doctrine drifted silently through the void, its massive form casting long shadows across the asteroid field. At nearly 800 minars in length, the patrol cruiser represented the pinnacle of Galactic Federation engineering, a perfect blend of defensive capabilities and overwhelming firepower designed to maintain order in this volatile sector of space. Commander Kirvash stood motionless on the command deck, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display before him. His exoskeleton clicked softly as he shifted his weight, mandibles twitching with irritation. "Status report," he demanded, voice resonating through his thoracic chamber. Science Officer Peltris approached, her movements fluid and precise as she manipulated the data stream with her slender appendages. "Boundary readings normal, Commander. No unusual activity detected in sectors 7 through 12. And yet," Kirvash replied, "High Command insists there's something anomalous in this region." His upper eyes narrowed, while his lower pair scanned the tactical displays. "Run another deep spectrum analysis. I want—" The alert came without warning, a burst of energy readings unlike anything their systems had registered before. Peltris moved swiftly to her station, multiple limbs working in perfect coordination. "Commander, unidentified vessel detected at bearing 227.45, approaching at sublight velocity. Configuration unknown, energy signature unusual." Kirvash's posture stiffened. "Unusual how?" "The drive signature doesn't match any known species in our database. And it's small. No more than 40 minars in length." "Laughable," grunted the tactical officer Dravmore. "A vessel that size couldn't possibly pose a threat." Kirvash silenced him with a sharp gesture. "Notify the vessel they've entered Federation space. Standard protocols: identify, scan, determine intent. Bring us to alert status." As the communications officer relayed the standard greeting and warning, Kirvash studied the visual feed. The vessel was indeed small, with an unusual, almost primitive design. Its hull configuration lacked the elegant symmetry of Federation engineering, appearing almost haphazard in its construction, rough, angular, and with exposed elements that seemed almost deliberately vulnerable. "No response to hails, Commander," reported the communications officer. "Bring us closer. Activate full sensor sweep and prepare boarding protocols. If they won't respond, we'll investigate directly." As the unyielding doctrine moved toward the alien vessel, the smaller ship suddenly changed course, accelerating away at surprising speed. "They're running," Dravmore announced unnecessarily. "Shall I disable their engines?" Kirvash considered. "Yes, minimal force. We don't want to destroy them yet." The tactical officer initiated the targeting sequence, and the unyielding doctrine's forward batteries released a precisely calculated pulse designed to disable propulsion systems without catastrophic damage. What happened next would change the course of galactic history. The small vessel didn't simply absorb or deflect the shot as expected. Instead, it moved, with an agility that defied the laws of physics as the Federation understood them. The energy pulse passed harmlessly through empty space as the ship executed a maneuver that should have torn it apart under its own inertial forces. "Impossible," whispered Peltris. "No organic pilot could survive those G-forces." Before anyone could respond, the small vessel changed course again, now heading directly toward the unyielding doctrine at accelerating speed. "They're on a collision course," Dravmore shouted. "Shields at maximum. Evasive maneuvers." Kirvash ordered, but he knew their massive cruiser couldn't possibly match the smaller vessel's agility. The alien ship veered away at the last possible moment, but not before releasing something, small objects, barely visible on the sensors, that attached themselves to the unyielding doctrine's hull. "Unknown devices detected on our outer hull," reported the sensor officer. "They appear to be—" The first explosion rocked the massive cruiser, followed quickly by 3 more. Warning sirens blared throughout the ship as systems began failing in cascade. "Damage report," Kirvash demanded, his voice barely audible over the chaos. "Multiple hull breaches, propulsion system damaged, weapons systems offline." Kirvash couldn't believe what was happening. How could a vessel that small inflict such damage on a Federation cruiser? Launch interceptors, he ordered. Destroy that vessel immediately. The fighter bay doors opened, but before the interceptors could launch, the alien vessel fired again, this time with a precision that seemed impossible. The energy beam struck the launch bay, destroying the interceptors before they could deploy. "Commander," Peltris said, her voice uncharacteristically shaken, "the alien vessel is hailing us." Kirvash hesitated only briefly. On screen, the view screen flickered, and for the first time, the crew of the unyielding Doctrine beheld the beings who had so effortlessly crippled their mighty vessel. The creature was bipedal, with only 2 arms and a single head. Its body was covered in some form of artificial exoskeleton, armor perhaps, but parts of its face remained exposed, revealing a pinkish-tan epidermis unlike anything in Federation records. Most disturbing were its eyes, forward-facing like a predator's, with white sclera surrounding colored irises. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Defiant," said the creature, in a voice that sounded impossibly calm given the circumstances. "You fired upon my ship without provocation. Consider this a warning." Kirvash bristled, his mandibles clicking rapidly. "You have violated Federation space. Surrender your vessel immediately, or face complete destruction." The being, this human, showed no sign of fear. Instead, its facial features arranged themselves in a way that Kirvash couldn't interpret. Later, he would learn this expression was called a smile, though it held no warmth. "Commander," the human said, somehow knowing his rank, "you're in no position to make demands. Your weapons are offline, your engines are damaged, and I've just uploaded a virus to your computer systems that will finish the job if you try anything else. But I'm willing to be reasonable." "Reasonable?" Kirvash sputtered. "You've committed an act of war against the Galactic Federation." "No," the human replied firmly. "You fired first. We merely defended ourselves. And if this is the best the Federation can offer, you should be grateful we're not interested in conquest." Before Kirvash could respond, Peltris interrupted. "Commander, multiple ships detected dropping out of FTL. They match the configuration of the alien vessel." Kirvash felt a cold dread settle in his thorax. How many? 7? No, 12 vessels, all approaching our position. The human on the screen spoke again. "Those are my friends. They're here to escort us home. You have 2 options. Let us leave peacefully, or find out what happens when we're not feeling merciful." For the first time in his distinguished career, Commander Kirvash of the Galactic Federation found himself completely outmaneuvered. With his ship crippled and reinforcements too far away to help, he had no choice. "We will permit your departure," he said stiffly. "But the Federation will not forget this incident." "Nor should you," replied Captain Chen. "Remember it well. Tell your superiors what happened here today, and tell them this. Earth is not looking for enemies, but we will not be bullied. The next Federation ship that fires on one of ours won't get a warning. They'll get a funeral." The transmission ended, and the crew watched in stunned silence as the human vessels regrouped and disappeared into FTL, leaving the mighty unyielding Doctrine damaged and adrift. In the silence that followed, Peltris approached her commander. "What do we tell High Command?" Kirvash stared at the now empty space where the human ships had been. "The truth," he said finally, "that we have encountered something unprecedented." As the crew worked to restore their systems, Kirvash couldn't shake the feeling that everything had changed. The Federation had ruled the stars unchallenged for millennia, and in a single encounter, these humans had shattered that certainty. Back on the Defiant, Captain Sarah Chen sat in her command chair, exhaling slowly as the adrenaline began to fade. Her first officer, Commander Jackson, stood beside her, his expression grim. "Think they got the message?" he asked. "They will," Chen replied. "One way or another." "You realize this is just the beginning," Jackson said quietly. Chen nodded. "I know. But they fired first. They always fire first." She glanced at the tactical display, where the Federation cruiser was still visible, limping away. At least now they know we can fire back. As the Defiant entered FTL, joining the rest of the human fleet, Sarah Chen knew that humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. The Federation would respond, they would have to. The question was how much blood would be spilled before they understood that humans weren't like any species they'd encountered before. The answer, as both species would soon discover, was far more than either side could have imagined. The hunter becomes the hunted Grand Admiral. Zexatoral stood before the High Council, his carapace polished to a shine that reflected the harsh light of the chamber. The 12 council members stared down at him from their elevated positions, their compound eyes unblinking and judgmental. "Explain again," demanded High Councilor Vexmore. "How a single primitive vessel managed to cripple one of our finest cruisers." Zexatoral maintained his composure despite the humiliation burning within him. "The reports from Commander Kirvosh indicate these humans possess technology that, while appearing primitive, contains unexpected innovations." "Innovations?" another counselor scoffed. "Or was it simply incompetence?" "With respect, Counselor, the unyielding doctrine followed standard protocols. The human vessel displayed unprecedented maneuverability and targeting precision. Their weapons, while not as powerful as ours individually, were deployed with tactical brilliance." High Counselor Vexmore leaned forward. "And what do you propose, Admiral?" A decisive response. "We must show these humans the true might of the Federation. I have assembled a battle group, 5 heavy cruisers and their support vessels. We will locate their homeworld and deliver a message they cannot misinterpret." "Approved," Vexmore declared, without hesitation. "The Federation has maintained peace for 20,000 cycles. We will not allow a species of upstart bipeds to disrupt that peace." What none of them realized was that while they plotted their response, the humans were already 3 steps ahead. Deep within Federation space, on a monitoring station orbiting the agricultural world of Philos Prime, Technician Greldav noticed an anomaly in the environmental systems. The oxygen levels had increased by 2%, a small change but one that shouldn't have occurred without authorization. "Computer," he chittered, "run diagnostic on atmospheric composition." "Atmospheric composition within acceptable parameters," the system responded. Greldav frowned. Something felt wrong. The station had been experiencing minor glitches for the past 3 cycles. Nothing significant enough to report, but a pattern of small inconsistencies that nagged at his professional pride. He rose from his station and moved toward the environmental control room. The corridor seemed unusually empty, and the lighting appeared dimmer than standard regulations allowed. As he reached the control room door, he heard something inside, a rhythmic sound he couldn't identify. The door slid open, and Greldav froze. Inside was a creature unlike any he'd seen before, bipedal with only 2 arms and that distinctive pinkish skin. It was manipulating the environmental controls while making noise with its mouth. Later, Greldav would learn this was called humming, a peculiar human habit. The human noticed him and stopped its activity. For a moment, they stared at each other, 2 species separated by millions of years of evolution and countless light years of space. Then the human smiled, revealing flat, herbivore-like teeth that nonetheless sent a chill through Greldav's exoskeleton. "Hi there," said the human in perfect galactic standard. "You're early." Greldav reached for his communication device, but the human moved with startling speed, covering the distance between them before Greldav could activate the alarm. "Sorry about this," the human said, and everything went dark. When Greldav regained consciousness, he was secured to a chair in the station's communication center. The human was there, along with 2 others of its kind. They were interfacing with the station's systems in ways that should have been impossible for non-Federation species. "He's awake," one of them said. The one who had subdued him approached. "My name is Lieutenant Maya Patel, Earth Special Operations. We have some questions for you." "I will tell you nothing," Greldav declared, his mandibles clicking in defiance. The human, Patel, tilted her head. "Actually, we don't need you to tell us anything. We've already accessed your database. We just need you to authenticate the transmission we're about to send. Never. Listen, Patel said, her voice softening in a way that confused Greldav. We're not here to hurt anyone. We're gathering intelligence because your Federation is planning to attack our colonies. We're trying to prevent a war, not start one. Lies. The Federation brings order to chaos. We are the guardians of galactic peace. Another human approached, taller, with darker coloration. Tell that to the Xandorians, or the Praxis Collective, or any of the dozen species your Federation has subjugated or exterminated because they didn't fit your definition of order. Greldav's antenna twitched involuntarily. How did these humans know about the Xandorian rebellion? That had been expunged from all historical records. We've been watching you for longer than you think, Patel said, seeming to read his thoughts. Your outpost here isn't the only one we've infiltrated. The implications hit Greldav like a gravity wave. Impossible. Our security protocols are impressive, Patel acknowledged, but designed to keep out species you understand. Humans, we think differently. As if to prove her point, the third human called out, Encryption broken, we're in the network. Good, Patel responded. Download everything and plant the packages. She turned back to Greldav. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to leave and you're going to deliver a message to your superiors. Tell them that for every human ship they attack, we'll sabotage 10 of their facilities. Tell them we're already inside their network, their security systems, their communications. They won't see us coming and they won't know where we've been until it's too late. You expect me to become a traitor? Greldav spat. No, Patel replied. I expect you to be a messenger. Whether you deliver that message is up to you. But remember, we could have killed everyone on this station. We didn't. Remember that when your superiors are deciding how to respond. With that, the humans finished their work and disappeared as mysteriously as they had arrived, leaving Greldav alone with an impossible decision. Meanwhile, Admiral Zex Toral's battle group moved through space toward the coordinates where the human ships had last been detected. His flagship, the Indomitable Will, led the formation, a display of Federation might that would have intimidated any rational species. Status report, he demanded as they approached the designated sector. All systems optimal, Admiral, responded his executive officer. No sign of the human vessels. Zex Toral clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Maintain alert status. These humans have proven unpredictable. As if summoned by his words, an alert sounded on the bridge. Admiral, multiple contacts detected. Human vessels? Yes, sir. 7 ships. They appear to be waiting for us. Zex's Toral felt a surge of satisfaction. They dare to challenge us directly? Excellent. Battle formation Delta. Prepare. Admiral, interrupted his communications officer. We're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. On screen, Zex's Toral ordered. The view screen activated, showing a human female with dark skin and hair pulled back tightly from her face. She wore what appeared to be a military uniform, though its design was starkly utilitarian compared to the ornate insignia of Federation Command. Admiral Zex Toral, she said, pronouncing his name with surprising accuracy. I am Admiral Sophia Washington of the Earth Defense Force. You are about to make a critical mistake. Zex Toral bristled at her presumption. The only mistake was made by your species when you attacked a Federation vessel. Now you will learn the price of such audacity. Washington's expression didn't change. We have infiltrated 27 of your outposts and installations. We have access to your communication networks, your defense grids, your supply chains. If you fire upon any of our vessels, the consequences will be significant. Bluffs and deception, Zex Toral scoffed. The Federation cannot be intimidated by primitive tactics. Not a bluff, Admiral, a courtesy. One last chance to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Washington's eyes hardened. Check your secure channel. The access code is Xerxes. See for yourself what we're capable of. Despite his skepticism, Zex Toral ordered his communications officer to investigate. The officer worked at his console, then froze, his mandibles clicking in alarm. "Admiral," he said, his voice barely audible, "she's telling the truth. The secure channel contains data from our most classified systems, defense array configurations, fleet movements, even council deliberations from this morning." Zexatoral felt his heart racing. This was impossible. No outside species had ever penetrated Federation security to this extent. "That's not even our most impressive feat," Washington continued, clearly aware of the confirmation he'd just received. "But it should be enough to make our point. We don't want war, Admiral. We want to be left alone. If that's not possible, we want to negotiate as equals. What we will not do is submit to intimidation or aggression." Zexatoral's mind raced through his options. His battle group could still overwhelm the human vessels before them. He was certain of that. But the infiltration of their systems changed everything. If the humans could access their secure channels, what else could they access? Weapon systems? Life support? "What are your terms?" he asked finally, his pride burning but his tactical sense prevailing. "Simple. You return to Federation space. We establish a neutral zone between our territories. We begin diplomatic discussions about coexistence. And if we refuse?" Washington's expression remained impassive. "Then we demonstrate exactly how vulnerable your empire really is. The choice is yours, Admiral, but I suggest you choose wisely. Your council might not forgive a second failure, the UPR." Threat was clear and, worst of all, credible. Zexatoral had no choice. "We will withdraw," he said, each word like acid. "But this is not over, human." "No," Washington agreed. "It's just beginning." As the Federation battle group reversed course, Zexatoral stared at the human vessels on his view screen. They were so small, so seemingly insignificant against the backdrop of space. Yet somehow, they had done the impossible. They had forced the mighty Federation to retreat. How had they done it? How had they penetrated Federation security so thoroughly? How had they anticipated the Federation's response so accurately? The questions plagued him as his fleet withdrew, and he knew the High Council would demand answers he couldn't provide. These humans weren't just different physically. They thought differently, fought differently, approached problems in ways the Federation couldn't predict. For the first time in his long career, Zexatoral felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. The Federation had ruled supreme for 20 millennia. In less than a month, these bipeds had challenged that supremacy in ways no one could have imagined. And somehow Zexatoral knew this was only the beginning. Understanding the impossible science director Nevlana studied the captured human with undisguised fascination. After the humiliating withdrawal of Admiral Zexatoral's battle group, the High Council had prioritized understanding these strange bipeds above all else. When a lone human scout ship had ventured too close to a Federation outpost, the opportunity had been seized immediately. Now the human, who identified himself as Lieutenant James Rodriguez, sat in a containment cell designed to hold beings far more physically imposing. Yet despite his apparent fragility, there was something in his demeanor that unnerved Nevlana. He showed no fear, no anxiety, despite being completely at their mercy. "You understand your situation, don't you?" she asked, her translator converting her clicks and whistles into the human language. The human looked up, his forward-facing eyes fixing on hers with disturbing intensity. "I understand it better than you do." Nevlana's antennae twitched in irritation. "You are a prisoner. Your ship has been destroyed. Your people have no idea where you are, and yet you display confidence. Why?" Rodriguez shrugged. A peculiar human gesture she had learned indicated dismissal or indifference. "Because I know something you don't." "And what might that be?" "That I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Before Nevlana could respond, her communication device chimed. "Excuse me," she said, stepping away from the cell. The message was from High Command, classified urgent. When she accessed it, Nevlana felt her exoskeleton grow cold. 3 Federation research stations had gone dark simultaneously. Each had been studying different aspects of human biology, psychology, and technology. Each had been considered completely secure. When she returned to the cell, Rodriguez was watching her with that unnerving calm. "Something wrong, Director?" "How did you know?" she demanded. "How did your people know where to strike?" Rodriguez smiled, that baring of teeth that somehow seemed both friendly and threatening. "I told you. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Understanding dawned with horrifying clarity. You let yourself be captured. Now you're getting it. Why? Because sometimes the best way to understand your enemy is to let them think they're understanding you. Nevlana felt a flutter of genuine fear. "What do you want?" "The same thing we've always wanted, to be left alone, but your Federation doesn't seem capable of understanding that concept." "The Federation brings order. The Federation brings subjugation," Rodriguez interrupted. "You strip away the identity of every species you encounter, until they're just another cog in your machine. Humanity won't accept that fate. So instead you infiltrate our facilities, sabotage our operations, and now, what? You use yourself as bait?" "Not bait," Rodriguez corrected. "An envoy. My capture creates a direct channel of communication, one your council can't ignore or filter through layers of bureaucracy." Nevlana's analytical mind raced ahead. The attacks on the research stations, a demonstration of capability, not intent. If we wanted to destroy them completely, we would have. Instead, we simply borrowed their data. The implications were staggering. "You coordinated all of this from the moment your scout ship appeared?" "Before that," Rodriguez said. "Simply, much before that. Nevlana needed to report this immediately, but something kept her there. Scientific curiosity, perhaps, or something more primal." "What makes your species so different? So unpredictable?" Rodriguez considered this for a moment. "Your civilization evolved toward unity and conformity. It made you strong, stable, enduring. But it also made you rigid. Humans evolved as adaptable generalists on a world of constant change and challenge. We're not stronger or smarter than you. We're just more comfortable with chaos. Chaos leads to destruction. Or innovation. Depends on your perspective." A new alert sounded, this one more urgent than the last. Nevlana checked it and felt her world tilt sideways. A human fleet had appeared in orbit around Nexus Prime, the Federation capital world. Not an invasion force, but a diplomatic delegation, requesting direct audience with the High Council. How had they found Nexus Prime? The coordinates were the Federation's most closely guarded secret. As if reading her thoughts, Rodriguez said, "We've been watching you for decades, Director. Learning your languages, your customs, your technology. We know far more about the Federation than you know about us." "Why?" Nevlana asked, genuinely bewildered. "Why invest such resources in studying us before making contact?" "Because that's what humans do when we encounter something new. We observe, we learn, we understand. We decided long ago that when we finally ventured among the stars, we'd do so with open eyes." Another alert. This one directly from the High Council. They were summoning her and her prisoner to Nexus Prime immediately. "It seems," Rodriguez said with that unsettling smile, "that we're both about to meet some very important people." The journey to Nexus Prime was tense. Nevlana had been ordered to bring the human directly to the council chambers, an unprecedented breach of security protocols. The human remained calm throughout, observing everything with those predator eyes that missed nothing. When they arrived, Nevlana was shocked to see not just the High Council present, but also a delegation of humans. 5 of them, standing before the council with a confidence that bordered on insolence. "Ah, Lieutenant Rodriguez," said one of the humans, a female with gray in her hair. "Right on schedule." High Counselor Vexmore's mandibles clicked in agitation. "You know this prisoner?" "Of course," the woman replied. "He's been transmitting to us since his capture. Very valuable insights." Nevlana felt her professional pride crumble. They had scanned the human thoroughly. He had no communication devices, implanted or otherwise. Impossible, she declared. He's been in isolation under constant surveillance. The gray-haired human smiled. You're thinking too conventionally, Director. Lieutenant Rodriguez has a neurological implant that mimics your own species' bioelectrical patterns. Your sensors registered it as normal background noise. Another human, male with dark skin, added, While we're clarifying misunderstandings, let me introduce ourselves properly. I am Ambassador Marcus Chen, representing the United Earth government. We are here to establish formal diplomatic relations with the Galactic Federation. Vexmore's compound eyes flashed with anger. After your acts of aggression and espionage, self-defense and information gathering, Chen corrected smoothly. Necessary measures given the Federation's history of absorbing or eliminating potential rivals. We bring order to chaos, Vexmore insisted. So you keep saying? Chen replied. But from where we stand, it looks more like you bring uniformity at the expense of diversity. The council chamber fell silent as the two species regarded each other, the culmination of a collision course set in motion with that first encounter between the unyielding doctrine and the defiant. Finally, a different counselor spoke, older, with a carapace bearing the marks of countless cycles. Perhaps, she said carefully, both perspectives have merit. Ambassador Chen inclined his head respectfully. That is precisely why we are here, Counselor. Not to threaten or coerce, but to offer an alternative. The galaxy is vast enough for different approaches to coexist. And if we reject the alternative? Vexmore demanded. Then we remain apart, Chen said simply. We don't seek conflict, but we will defend our independence with everything we have. And as you've seen, we are quite capable in that regard. The Mnai, older counselor, leaned forward. And what does humanity offer the Federation, beyond threats and intrusions? For the first time, Chen smiled, a genuine expression that somehow bridged the vast evolutionary gap between their species. Perspective, Counselor. New ways of thinking. New approaches to old problems. Innovation born from our comfort with change. And perhaps most importantly, a mirror in which the Federation might see itself more clearly. Nevlana watched as the council members exchanged glances, communicating in the subtle language of antenna movements and mandible positions that no human could possibly interpret. Yet Ambassador Chen waited patiently, somehow sensing the gravity of the moment. Finally, Vexmore spoke. This council will deliberate on your proposal. In the meantime, your delegation will be provided appropriate accommodations. Thank you, Counselor, Chen replied. And Lieutenant Rodriguez will be returning with us, of course. It wasn't a question, and surprisingly, Vexmore didn't treat it as one. Of course. As the humans were escorted out, Nevlana caught Rodriguez's eye. He gave her that unsettling smile one last time. Remember what I said, Director, he told her quietly. Understanding is a two-way process. In the days that followed, the Federation would begin the painful process of re-evaluating everything it thought it knew about interspecies relations. The humans had done what no species had managed in 20 millennia. They had forced the mighty Federation to adapt. 3 cycles later, the Treaty of Nexus was signed, establishing formal relations between humanity and the Federation. Not as subjects, not as vassals, but as equals. The galaxy would never be the same. In her laboratory on Nexus Prime, Nevlana reviewed the data from her final interview with Lieutenant Rodriguez. One question had continued to haunt her. Your species has been spacefaring for less than 2 centuries, she had observed. How did you advance so quickly? Rodriguez had considered this carefully before answering. Necessity, curiosity, and competition. We push ourselves because we can imagine better futures, and we're impatient to get there. And now? What does humanity imagine for its future among the stars? That's the great thing about humans, Director, Rodriguez had replied with that enigmatic smile. We don't just imagine one future, we imagine countless possibilities. And then we work like hell to make the best ones real. As she closed the file, Nevlana found herself doing something very un-Federation-like. She was imagining new possibilities. 2. Perhaps that was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the contagious ability to envision change. And for a civilization that had remained unchanged for 20 millennia, change might be the most revolutionary idea of all.